Your colleague on Sky Sports, Mike Dean, had some things to say in the last week or so that I'd love to get both your opinions on. Talking about VAR, when he was on VAR last season, he was talking about he didn't encourage the referee to go to the screen because it was his friend.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? Because obviously it's shook people. How do you feel about
I
this?
think having spoken to Mike and listened to what he had to say, I think what he said wrong was he used the word friend rather than colleague. And I think he admits that. I think he says he hasn't got any friends in the game, and I can imagine that, having known him for a while now. I'm only joking. No, but he said that the choice of word was wrong, and it obviously got highlighted. He said it's been out there in the media, and it's just been regurgitated really by the podcast what he did. Obviously not going to the monitor was the wrong decision. He knew that straight away. I think his real problem was that from the incident, having watched it time and time again, it was clearly a red card decision. Got highlighted even more the fact that the corner come in and Harry Kane scores in the injury time. There's a lot of people's livelihoods at stake, not just that game, obviously, but Thomas Tuchel lost his job, shortly after that. And it's a very emotional game, a game in Chelsea against Tottenham, where they could have got some momentum and confidence from beating the local rivals. So I think he's admitted that he got it wrong, Mike. He said many, many times that the buck stops with him, and I think he's taken the responsibility.
Alan?
I think there's so many ramifications from what he said, and I think all it does is it opens a can of worms in terms of there's so many questions now that people will refer back to and think, well, if Mike's done it, who else is doing it?
Yeah,
and that's the problem, and all it does is bring an even bigger spotlight on the referees and VAR itself.
Yeah,
and that is the problem. So if Mike Dean's come out and said and admitted it, but how many others have done it and not admitted it?
Yeah,
and that's the problem. And realistically, that's for me is like you're starting to bring the game into disrepute as a result of that. And some people will call it cheating, and it all depends. And as you've just said to Tim, it's he used the language wrong.
Yeah,
but for me, it doesn't sit well with me. And in terms of a lot of fans, because we all look at referees and think there's a bias anyway to certain clubs. And all this has done now is bring the referees who are under a huge amount of scrutiny right now, because let's be honest, they're not exactly covering themselves in glory with the decisions that are happening week in and week out with in the Premier League. And I think it's a worrying sign. I really do.
I think for a personality like Mike Dean, an experienced referee, for someone with lesser experience, is to sit in the VAR and send him to the monitor. He knows it was hard for them to do. They knew that he wouldn't like that. And that is the way they're acting at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
So when I do a game now, I look who the referee is, and I look if there's an inexperienced or more experienced VAR. There's a good chance the inexperienced referee is going to get sent over by the experienced VAR. They don't want to be sent, and they don't want to send them. So, he's put it out there now. It is quite clear. But it's something we knew anyway. They don't want the game to be re-refereed. Yeah. That's what they don't want, especially if they've had a wealth of experience like Mike Dean has had.
I had a situation, and this was going back when I was playing at Celtic and Rangers, where there was a certain referee there. He was refereeing the Celtic Rangers game, Old Firm game, and we had a Stonewall penalty, which was not given. And the referee, I've gone to the referee and I'm saying to him, how on earth can you not be given that in probably much difficult language that you'd say. And he basically ran past me and went, while I'm refereeing, you'll never get a penalty against Rangers.
Wow.
No.
Wow. And basically, that's obviously at a much higher scale that we're talking about. But, what Mike Dean's done is probably answer a lot of fans' queries in the past as in terms, well, does this go on?
Mm.
Well, obviously, we've just seen an example that it does go on.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
and that's
human beings, aren't they?
yes,
Yeah.
they are, and they are going to make mistakes, and I think we understand that. And I think all it does now is even open up the discussion now for us to be able to listen on what them conversations is being said.
Yeah.
Because we realistically now is that I think everybody needs more clarity on exactly what does go on
Yeah,
and
definitely.
how they're coming to their decisions.
Yeah.
Tim, what you said is so spot on, by the way.